It's Love-Hate Day here on the Fantasy Show, which means, of course, that...
I know, I take my shirt off and prance around like Cupid whenever there's a player you love.
Well, no, Daniel. I mean, yes. I mean, we have sort of done that a few times, but
Yeah.
we're actually not going to do that today. As you know, we have high standards here on the Fantasy Show. Look, we aren't just a show that, beats bits into the ground or relies on nothing but catchphrases. We're better than that.
Dear up the bums.
LeBron.
Yep.
Guess what? This year, suspended 4 games. Buzzing.
LeBron.
Form, but
Dear up the bums.
LeBron.
Buzzing. You hate LeBron? You're fired.
all right. Well, we should be. We should be. I want us to be like, I don't know. I want us to be like the Ryan Fitzpatrick of streaming puppet shows about fantasy football. Okay, sure. The first 13 years of our existence will be embarrassing disaster after embarrassing disaster. But in year 14 of the fantasy show, year 14, we're really going to hit our stride, Daniel. So, just like Fitzmagic has done in his 14th year in the NFL.
Yeah.
Ryan Fitzpatrick of the Buccaneers is a love for me in week 3. I'm in on this new Fitzpatrick, or at least I am as long as he gets to play the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. This is a Steelers defense that is averaging over 30 fantasy points per game to opposing quarterbacks. Only the Chiefs have been worse. And Ryan Fitzpatrick has been the very best in every facet this year. He's first in fantasy points, pass attempts, yards per attempt, and total QBR. Most of his damage, this is important, has come on the deep ball. Fitzy has 4 different touchdown passes of at least 20 yards downfield, most in the NFL. And now he gets a Steelers defense that has allowed the most 20-yard completions in the NFL this year. So yeah, Ryan Fitzpatrick, I don't think he's a fluke. He's my QB6 this way. Oh, by the way, this guy, the player who is second to Fitzpatrick in quarterback fantasy points this season, he's my number 1 quarterback this week. While I think Fitzmagic will probably take a turn for the tragic at some point, Mahomes, to me, already on that elite Brady, Rodgers, set it and forget it, I don't care who you're playing, level at quarterback. And he'll stay there for about, I don't know, a decade or two. Now for a quarterback I'm down on in week 3, Andrew Luck. Look, I love that he stayed healthy for the first 2 weeks, but I hate that he's not throwing the ball downfield this year. Less than 6 air yards per pass attempt, second to last, ahead of only Derek Carr. You don't want to only be ahead of Derek Carr in any category. I also hate that he's facing an Eagles defense that, since the beginning of last year, allowing the 3rd lowest completion percentage on passes thrown less than 10 yards downfield. Not a great matchup for Indy's dink and dunk attack. Luck, my QB 15 this week. Another quarterback I'm down on in week 3, Phillip Rivers. This week the Chargers take on the Rams in the fight for LA, the biggest football rivalry since UConn and Central Florida battled in the civil conflict. Remember when they tried to make that a thing? Well, my reason for being down on Rivers this week is that the Rams defense is not very civil, see what I did there, to opposing quarterbacks. In fact, they're just one of 4 defenses with more interceptions than touchdown passes allowed since the beginning of last season. Rams, in fact, have allowed more than 17 fantasy points to a quarterback just 3 times since the start of last year. That secondary is so strong. Rivers all the way down at QB 20 for me. I think he turns the ball over a few times.
So, Matthew, can I keep my shirt on from now on?
Well, candidly, no. But season 14 of the Fantasy Show? Absolutely.
Not a problem, buddy. These guys, they can carry the show for 12 more years. Can't you, babies?
So not all touches are created equal, right? I've asked my faithful assistant Daniel here to help me demonstrate, okay? Like, watch this. If I touch Daniel like this, right? It's hilarious because it hurts Daniel and now he can't see. But if I touch Daniel here, my hands get infested by all the bugs that live in Daniel's beard and I have to burn all my clothes after the show. So thank you for the visual aid, Daniel. There's not enough of this. My point is, no 2 touches are the same. I was reminded of that fact this week when breaking down the 49ers backfield. Alfred Morris, believe it or not, actually has slightly more touches on the season than Matt Breida, 59 to 52. But those touches have not been equal. Check out Breida's production compared to Alfred Morris's. Over the last game and a half, Breida, 9.9 yards per rush compared to just 2.2 for Morris on the same number of carries. That's a 123-yard advantage for Matt Breida if you're scoring at home. And now, the Niners play a Chiefs defense that has allowed 4.3 yards per carry since the start of last year, 8th worst in the NFL. In what should be one of the highest scoring games of the year, Matt Breida is a love for me this week. I have him as my running back 15. Another love for me this week, also all about touches. It's Chris Thompson's touches in the passing game. This season, Chris Thompson, the running back Chris Thompson, ranks third in the NFL in receptions. He has 19. Large part of that, of course, is his connection with quarterback Alex Smith. Alex Smith has thrown all but 9 of his passes this year within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage. He's averaging just 5.4 air yards per attempt this season. That's third lowest in the NFL. We expect the Packers to score a lot, obviously, which means Washington will be throwing a lot to keep up. Since the beginning of 2017, opponents are completing the second highest percentage of passes to running backs against the Green Bay Packers. Chris Thompson is my running back 16 this week in PPR. As for a big running back hate in week 3, and I hate to say this, but it's David Johnson. And it's because of this. For some reason, his team isn't letting him touch the ball in the passing game. Back in 2016, when Johnson was a fantasy superstar, he ran 504 routes. That was 117 more than any other running back. Like, he lapped the field. And yet this year, DJ ranks just 22nd among running backs in routes run. He's only lined up as a wide receiver 4 times in 2 games. And now he's going against a Bears rushing defense that is allowing the 4th fewest rushing yards per game, and they've yet to allow a running back to score a touchdown. It is a brutal front 7 for any runner to go against, all of which means David Johnson makes the hate list this week. He's only my running back 17, so there's a case to be made for leaving Johnson. David Johnson, who you picked in the top 4 of your draft, on your bench this week if you have better options, believe it or not.
I believe you, Matthew.
Thanks, Daniel. That's touching.
Ah!
So funny. For all the latest fantasy football news and analysis, you can binge watch all the episodes of the Fantasy Show right now on ESPN+.